Welcome to Take 3, coming to you on WTSR Radio 93.1 FM. I'm Nikki Nailbaum.
And I'm Bill Nobes. Each episode of Take 3 brings you one independent artist, 3 songs performed live, and an in-depth interview about each song. This session was recorded on July 3rd, 2022 from the House of Robot.
This episode's artist is Erin Fox. Erin, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Erin Fox has performed in various outfits in the Philadelphia music community for nearly 2 decades before stepping out to record her own music. She began working on her first full-length solo album, Forbidden Youth, in 2017, and subsequent EP, Your Joy, in 2018. She previewed much of the material from her new album, Fuzzy Logic, for the NPR's Unprecedented Sessions series in winter 2021. Fox has collaborated with a wealth of local creatives and has shared stages big and small with songwriting greats like Molly Tuttle, Robert Ellis, Shakey Graves, and Benjamin Gibbard. Her compulsive expressions encompass a dark ambiance of quirky chord structures, poetically intense lyrics, and distinctly haunting orchestral harmonies that amuse a vast range of emotion, all the while continuously documenting life's challenges. She views the ability to make music at all as a true gift in itself. Fox is hard at work on new music with her backing band, the Hounds, in 2022. The Hounds. I didn't know about this.
Yeah, the string players and they named themselves. I did not.
That's awesome. And let's listen to the first song.
This song's called Spare Me. It is off my most recent release, Fuzzy Logic. Tragic, all that magic gone to waste. Dress my wounds while you twist the knife right to my face. Say
So, I do want to ask about Spare Me. Is this about multiple things, a person or a place, or do you want to tell us a little bit about?
Sure. So I wrote it a little while ago now, but I recorded it in that batch of songs on Fuzzy Logic during the pandemic. And usually when I write stuff, I don't immediately know what it's about. It's just kind of like a channeling process. But I think I was just kind of in a negative place emotionally, and sort of about when somebody does something horrible to you and then kind of gives you like a half-assed apology, and you know that they're not actually sorry for it. So that's the gist of what it's about.
So when you say you don't know what it's about, what is your process like?
With writing?
Yeah.
It's usually just something that I hear like in my brain first. And then I just have to like get it out of my brain and into like this reality.
So is it like a stream of consciousness?
Yeah.
Where words just flow?
Yeah.
Is it auto writing? Is it that stream of consciousness? Auto writing is when you just write down words without any much thought.
Kind of, yeah. It's just everything is kind of there all at once. A lot of times it'll be at a really inconvenient time. I'll either be like half asleep or like in the shower or like in public, and then I'm like that weirdo like trying to sing into my phone without anybody noticing, you know? And then I'm like, okay, I have to remember this for later. And, you know, jotting something down. But yeah, it's kind of rare that it all happens at once. But when it does, it's serendipitous. It's really cool, you know?
Now, when you wrote, I believe in what deceives me every day, what were you feeling at that point?
I guess it's kind of just saying that, like, I have a habit of being too trusting people that don't deserve it, you know?
And get out now while you still know everything there is to know you know.
Like, I've had things like that said to me when I was younger. People will say to somebody who's not lived a lot of life or who's not really wise, like, you know, well, I guess you better just go solve all the world's problems while you know everything, right? You know, it's something that you hear said to, I guess, younger people, you know, teenagers or people in their early 20s.
That sounds very dismissive,
Yeah.
that statement. Does that feeling run through the song, that dismissiveness?
Yeah, I guess, yeah. It's just kind of something that you would feel towards a person who comes off as a know-it-all.
When you write, do you start with like, I guess the emotion, and then do the words come with the melody, or do you like assign the melody later, or is like the melody part of the emotion and then the words?
It depends really on the song. Like some songs, it's all at once. And I think the more like emotionally charged I am, or like hurt that I am, then chances are higher that it's all going to be at the same time.
And I see deceit to dress my wounds while you twist the knife right to my face.
Yeah.
It's a very complicated song. There's a lot going on, and it's very free form, free thought. And a song like this, does this incorporate many experiences or a single experience?
I think it kind of stems from like a pattern in my life where I have a habit of being too trusting, and then, you know, people take advantage of it. At the time, I was probably only writing about the most recent example of that. But
since it's a pattern, it also touches on the reoccurrence.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I would imagine.
Just the many times that I've let people, you know, hang themselves with the rope that I've given them. So.
Yeah, I love the style of your writing and your songs recently. I feel like this is like evolved since I've seen you last, and it's very jazzy and I don't even know the words for it. But yeah, very free formed, and it's really, really deep stuff in a really pretty way.
Thank you. I was exposed to like a lot of jazz as a kid through my grandparents. You know, my grandpa's, one of his favorites was Nat King Cole, you know, like Duke Ellington, like all that stuff. So I just remember hearing it in the car all the time and heard plenty of Sinatra. So it was like all the old standards, you know. So that was always there in my influences.
Nice.
Now, before we go on to the next song, let's go a little bit to background. You've played in quite a few different groups and bands over the years. And tell us a little bit about those, because I remember, I just forgot. Yeah, tell us a little bit about your background with different bands.
Well, when I was a kid, I started playing music really because of my parents. Like my dad was laid off from his construction job, and my mom was supporting us by playing like cover gigs most nights of the week.
What kind of covers?
Pop Top 40, country, Irish songs.
Oh.
She was in a band with her brother, and they'd play cover band bars like all the time. So sometimes she couldn't get childcare, and I'd be like at the gigs with her, you know. And she started getting me up to like sing air quotes with her from when I was like barely in elementary school, you know. And I just saw it as like what you did, you know. It's like the way of life. So as soon as I could pick up an instrument, like I wanted to learn. So when I started public school, they showed us all, like they had a day where they would take your classroom down to the music department and show you all the instruments. And I was really drawn to the viola. So I started, you know, taking viola lessons really young. And about the same time, I picked up guitar. I was playing my mom's guitar. I was like 7. So eventually that led to me like playing in orchestra and also playing in my mom's band. And my sister picked up the drums a couple years later, and we just ended up like doing the family band thing, you know.
Was that still doing covers at that point?
Yeah, we were doing cover band stuff.
In venues?
Well, bars, but yeah, whatever you want.
I was making it nice.
Yeah. And eventually, like, we got tired of that, you know, because you get embarrassed being with your parents when you're a teenager. And we broke away and, like, started our own thing. And that was a girl band called Sugar High. It was a little power trio. And started doing our own gigs, had, like, a producer figure in the picture. And that, like, saw us through our teenage years. And then I spent a couple years doing, like, solo stuff. But I didn't, like, play out much. I was just, like, recording. And then me and my sister reunited and formed a band called Resilient. And been doing that pretty much ever since. But I still, like, had all these other songs on the side that I would still play that didn't really fit in, like, any other bands. I would also, like, play guitar for other people here and there. Like, I joined a punk band called Insignificant Others for a while. I joined, like, an R&B fusion band called Babe Grenade. That lasted for, like, a year. I would play in some cover bands here and there. So I started really focusing on, like, the solo stuff when Resilient slowed down and everybody started doing, like, other side projects. And just kind of devoted my energy to that because I had all this material and wasn't doing anything with it. And my friends and obviously my sister were encouraging me to, like, release it. They were like, why don't you do anything with this music? So I just started putting it out by myself. I mean, I obviously had help. Like, you know, I met some really cool people who were engineers and producers and stuff who were like, yeah, you can record at my space. And, you know, actually the engineer who did Forbidden Youth passed away recently. So, you know, rest in peace, Lee McCartney. He was an awesome person. but yeah, he was one of the people who like really encouraged me to record my solo stuff, and I'm really grateful that he did. And then the most recent record, Fuzzy Logic, was like a pandemic project, because you couldn't really, we didn't know enough about COVID early on, and we were too scared to meet up with people, and I kind of just bought the minimal amount of studio equipment that I could fit in my little house and figured out how to use GarageBand on the most basic level and recorded it in my house. So
Let's talk a little bit about what was the producer's name? Lee
McCarty. Yeah.
Not about Lee specifically, but before we were recording, I mean, I've known Erin for a while, and Nikki and Erin have known each other for a long time. Erin's been here before. And we all have a same mission, and which is the mission of this podcast, is to support the local community. And we were talking about, in the last year, we've lost a number of spaces in the area. But we were talking about a new one that's coming up in Hub 13 by Black Cannabis. And you were telling me Mike, the owner of a couple School of Rocks, is looking at a new space or bought a new space.
Yeah. He's, I think, looking to put together a studio. So that's in Trenton. I don't know exactly where, but he was telling me about that last night. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Cool.
But I think one thing that we really haven't talked about on this show or other shows are the people like Lee, like Mike, like, Jacques at Hub 13, and like Nikki and other that have supported the community, and especially the independent unsigned community, because we couldn't really do this and survive without people that help out. And it is a very, supportive community, at least around here. And it was rather sad when we lost some of the venues that supported independent artists, and now to hear these stories about things coming back, and people like Lee, who I've not heard of, who are there for artists, and that's very encouraging to hear that. After all these things are going away, it's still happening, and there are still people out there trying to make a difference.
It seemed really bleak for a while. I guess it still seems bleak, but it is nice to see, people coming back and just kind of hearing you talk about Lee.
Yeah.
It just seems like it's important to encourage people to do stuff, because you only got so much time, and that's beautiful of him to do that. And that makes me feel like it's really important to encourage people to do stuff, because it's a tough time to do anything. And I know I don't do things unless people are like, let's do a thing. At least nowadays. I used to be like, oh, let's do everything, I'm gonna mastermind something. But then a few things happened where I just kind of lost that fire, and just it's just nice to see other people with the fire now and doing things. So
Absolutely. And Lee also, not just for my solo stuff, but he did Resilient's third record, How to Peach, and he did records for so many people for nothing, just because he had the resources. He had a studio in his house, and he also worked with this independently wealthy guy who was just you can use my property and build a studio here. They built it from the ground up. It was out in the middle of nowhere, kind of this is, and they did that for artists, out in the suburbs of Pennsylvania, and they were just trying to push people and get them out there, video, audio, anything really. And it was really cool that they did that for years. So I never saw anything like it, and they never asked for anything from any of the artists.
That's good to hear.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
All right, shall we go on to the next song?
All right, let's go to the next song.
All right, this song is called Flowers from the Funeral, and it's a newer song. I wrote it after my grandma passed. Flowers from the funeral won't grow in my yard. I stick them in an empty pot of dirt real hard and make believe this way. I see the green left in their stems and believe anyway. I never listen to what anyone has to say about it. I'm just holding out for the next pour down, waiting for the thunder to pass over my head. I can't go on singing this song no more. I've been stuck at the streetlight, been stranded at the station before. Flowers from the funeral won't grow in my yard. I shove them in an empty pot of dirt real hard and still believe they'll come back to me.
Now, you said at the opening of the song, this is a new piece.
Yeah.
Is this a premiere?
I guess, yeah. I haven't.
Okay.
I've only performed it in public one other time, and it was pretty recent.
Yeah. So this is about your grandmother's passing.
Yes.
And you told us earlier that when your grandmother became ill, you kind of dropped everything to
Yeah.
take care of her.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, both me and my sister were pretty much living there and
Yeah.
spending every hour with her, you know.
And make believe they'll come back to life once more. Does that mean your grandmother's spirit?
Kind of. It was just like we all went through this during her passing. You know, they send somebody home from the hospital and they're like, we're going to make her comfortable. And you know what those words mean, you know, that, all right, someone's coming home on hospice. You don't know how much time. It could be a year. It could be months. It could be days. But you go through, when you're taking care of somebody every day, and you see like, oh, they're having a better day, you start to think like maybe they'll get better. And it's like you're fooling yourself, you know. And that's what we saw. Like a couple days before she passed, she was having a good day.
Mm-hmm.
And we thought, she might be around longer than we think. And then, boom, she took such a quick turn. And then it was within 48 hours she was gone. So, and we all went through our own little period of denial. I went through it at my own time. My uncle went through it another time. My sister went through it at her own time. And it was just kind of about watching someone pass, watching someone die slowly, and having that hope that, oh, well, maybe by some miracle they'll live. And, you know, you have to accept that they're going to be gone.
I can see that in the lyrics. I can't go on singing this song no more. I've been stuck at the streetlight, been stranded at the station before.
Yeah.
Does that refer to the hope that they'll get better? You're kind of stuck in this place and hoping but it doesn't?
Yeah, like I had to release myself from that place. Because it's not the first time that I've been with someone dying. So, you know.
And the flowers from the funeral won't grow in my yard.
So I literally took a bouquet from her funeral, and like I have a garden outside of my house, and I took them out there, and I had this big empty pot. I completely neglected my garden this year because I wanted to be with her and focus on her. And one of my neighbors said something to me, like jokingly, like, "Hey, what are you doing with that garden?" And I went out there to start cleaning it up, and I took the bouquet and I did stick it in a pot, and I was like, well, you know, maybe they'll last a little bit. I don't know. And then it just got me thinking about, you know, how it's kind of ironic that I'm doing that. That's kind of how I felt about her, you know. So
I kind of want to know, so your mom was very musical.
yeah.
Was this her
Yes.
mom? Was she musical?
Yeah, she used to sing on the radio in the 40s in Philadelphia. That's how she met my grandpa. They were singing on at this competition for the radio station. It's now WDAS, but it used to be something else. It used to be like the Will Reagan Show or something back in the day. And that's how they met. They had to sing like a duet together or something. And like she was originally supposed to sing with another male singer on the station, but he was sick or whatever. And that's how she ended up meeting my grandpa, and they started dating.
Wow.
Yeah. But she used to be a dancer, singer. She used to sing at the Robin Hood Dell, which is now the Dell Center. She had like a regular residency there. And my uncle would back her up on keys, and his friend would play guitar. And, you know, she was like pretty well known as a musician back in the day. But she stopped, you know, when she had a family. She just wanted to focus on her family and everything.
So you're third generation then?
Yeah.
At least?
Were her parents musical?
I mean, they were from Ireland. It was only around the house, you know.
Okay.
So, but yeah, that whole family would sit around and sing old Irish songs and stuff, you know. I remember my great grandpa, and he would always be singing like an Irish song called Patsy Fagan. He'd just start, you know, singing that around the house and encouraging people to join in. It was just like music was always in the house, you know, all the time.
Wow.
It was the thing you did.
That's
Now you
awesome.
say the flowers, you still believe they'll come back to you. And the closing stanza.
Yeah.
What's coming back?
It's just kind of me wishing that, like, she didn't have to go, you know? That she could still stay longer, even though I know that that's not going to happen.
Oh man, are there any videos of her and your grandpa performing?
There's pictures.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's awesome.
All right, take it.
And let's go to the next song.
All right, this song is called Fuzzy Logic. It is the title track off of my most recent release. And thank you for listening today. The more it's in the more it's over. Do I got that right? Heard without quite listening like you done it your whole life. Say you wanna change the world, but you don't wanna live in it. Fuzzy logic feels to blame for you. The other day my thoughts belayed me on a subway car. I couldn't help but notice just how much we build with bars. But when it starts to feel dark blue, I stop and take a look at the moon. You know, fuzzy logic feels to blame for you.
So this is off your new thing. Are you doing this with the Hounds?
Yes.
Okay. So
Well, I mean, I technically play by myself. They don't really do anything on this song.
Oh, okay.
It's very sparse.
Gotcha.
Well, tell us a little about the Hounds before we go in. We were talking off mic before.
Yeah.
So that's a new project?
Yes. So when I recorded this record, I did like all the instruments by myself, with the exception of like some drum tracks, because I can't really play a drum kit like my sister can, you know. So, and I had Jace play drums on one of the songs as well. But I had dubbed myself like playing strings, you know, because I couldn't collaborate with a bunch of people, and did the bass tracks and everything. And so when I put it out there, I was just playing it solo, and I met some string friends, and we had just known each other from the internet, and they said something like, you know, oh, I heard the album, love it, love the strings. Do you want some of that live? And I said, well, sure, but I don't really know anybody who could like do that, you know. They were like, hello. And I was like, really? That's great. I'll have to take you up on that. And it took me a little bit, but I finally reached out to them and said, hey, I think I'll take you up on that offer. And with one or two of them came like a whole string section. So now I play with like a string quintet, and my coworker from School of Rock on keys, Mike, and Jace plays drums. So it's been really fun.
Wow. What is the so I'm just is it like 2 violins, a viola, cello,
And double bass.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, I can't wait to see that.
That's going to be interesting.
It's really fun. Yeah.
And then guitar, or
Yeah.
and then guitar and drums,
Yeah.
and then an electric bass.
No, just the double bass.
Oh, and then keys. Keys.
Yeah.
Okay.
My buddy plays keys. He's
Wow, that's a full
ridiculous.
orchestra.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Right on. So how many? So and this is 2021 when this started.
Well, that's when I released the album, but we didn't start performing as like a unit until, I don't know, like maybe 5 months ago.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, is anything online for that project yet?
There's like clips here and there, but I don't have anything official recorded. I got to work on that.
That's awesome.
We're working on getting something together and like going in to a studio. Yeah.
All right, let's go back to fuzzy logic.
Okay.
What is fuzzy logic to you?
Distorted thinking. It was weird. I was having a conversation about it with a friend of mine. She's like an avid music supporter, local music scene supporter. His name's Reggie. You know Reggie, Nikki, right? Long, black, curly hair.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So me and Reggie were at a show, and we were talking about, like, fuzzy logic, like the engineering concept, fuzzy logic, because we're both, like, I guess, science dorks in a way. Because, like, during the day, I am an IT person. So we were kind of talking about that. But then I thought about that concept as it would relate to, I guess, human nature and, like, the social aspect of it, and how, like, everything is, like, lost, I guess, truth-wise in everybody's communications. Like, there is no true or false, like, you know, everything kind of gets lost in, like, everybody has their own version of what's going on, but the actual reality of it is never really found. It's, you know, one person has one side of the story, another person has the other side of the story, and then what really happened is always lost somewhere in between. So it was kind of like that thought process. It's hard for me to explain it. I'm explaining it very badly.
No,
but
I think I got it.
It made sense in my mind when I was writing it.
I mean, the one lyric, you say you want to change the world, but you don't want to live in it.
Yeah.
I mean, I can see a lot of interpretations for that.
Yeah.
What was in your mind?
It was more like like critiquing the world around me at the time, like the collective, and just seeing so many negative thoughts spewed out, I guess, not just through social media, but just the way people were treating each other and communicating with each other, and just the lack of a bridge between generations, really, and how they don't understand each other. But that was another one that was just like stream of consciousness. Like, I don't know where the hell this came from.
I feel like I'm getting a lot of like cognitive dissonance, dealing with cognitive dissonance almost.
Yes. Yeah. That's a better way to explain it.
And the lyric, I couldn't help but notice just how much we've built with bars. What are the bars?
Prison. Like, you know, when you're writing, well, this song literally struck my head like lightning when I was on the L coming back from the show that I was at talking with Reggie about this concept. And then I heard like the whole song, lyrics and music, while I was passing 40th Street Station. And I was like, oh my God, I need to somehow record this and write this down. But I was looking around at all the, you know, all the turnstiles when you go to exit the L and how they're all bars. And I was just thinking about that and how it fits in, and how it's like, fits into how the world is, like, both mentally and physically. And I don't know, it just made sense at the time.
Are they put in front of us, or do we put them there?
Would say that we put them there.
Mm-hmm.
We block each other.
Mm-hmm. And the closing lines, biding time while we're dying on our hills. When I hear that, I think about, you know, let's take the hills, you know, take the World War II movies. But the hills aren't real in this case. We're building them ourselves and dying on them is kind of what I get. Is it close to what you...
Sort of. It is kind of a thought. I mean, I thought about it more afterwards because it was so like, but when I analyzed it afterwards, I was like, well, nobody can agree or understand each other anymore. Everybody's just planting their feet and choosing to die on a hill, even if it's not worth it. So.
And defending that hill, even though it's not worth it.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the School of Rock connection.
Yeah.
Because you're a teacher at the School of Rock.
Yes, I co-direct the Rock 101 program at the Philadelphia School of Rock with my buddy Mike Cordish, or everybody just knows him as Cordish. And it's a lot of fun.
And how long have you been teaching music?
Well, I've been teaching music for a long time, but teaching there, probably a few years. I was always a sub, like vocal teacher. And then this year they asked me to co-direct Rock 101. And I wasn't sure if I was up for it because it's a lot more kids and a lot more forward-facing. And, you know, you got to, like, teach them in front of the parents and stuff. But it's been a lot of fun.
I've been to a few Rock 101 classes at other School of Rocks, and I've seen the kids absolutely walk all over the teacher. Has that been a challenge?
I mean, every now and then you'll get a kid who's just will not listen and whatever, but I don't know. You just try and understand them and, like, get on their level and figure out what makes them tick. I mean, I like that challenge because I probably wasn't the easiest kid. I know my sister definitely wasn't. Love her to death. But, yeah, you just kind of figure out how to connect with each kid and then how to make them understand what's going on, and then it all gels. Like, you just have to make things interesting for them.
It's interesting you say that because the teachers I saw get walked over, they weren't trying to connect with the kids. They were expecting the kids to obey orders.
Yeah.
And that didn't work out too well.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know, it's easy for me because I'm like a big kid. So I kind of get in there with them and they talk to me like I'm one of them. So I have fun with it, you know.
I want to know about Rock 101. Like, I'm envisioning like a giant room of kids and parents.
It's not always that way. Like, more recently, it's only been like 5 or 6 kids, but at one point we did have like 15 kids.
Oh, wow.
On one stage. And you're basically showing them how to be in a band together
Okay.
for the first time.
Okay.
Like, and it's ages 6 to 12.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So you're showing them like what you do when you get on stage, go to your instrument, here's how to hold a microphone if they're a singer, or like get your instrument set up. Okay, we're going to play this song. All right, here's the set. All right, when we get to the venue, here's what we do. You know, just basic stuff.
Awesome.
I mean, most of them are, if they're instrumentalists, they're already studying privately through the school. If they're not, then you got to give them extra attention, maybe take them aside and work on the chords or the solo or whatever it is for the song. But it's easy songs usually, and they play like 4 or 5 songs for the performance at the end of the season, and they usually play it like Dobbs or something, you know.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's cool.
That's awesome. I remember at Champs we had a few School of Rock concerts. The one that was funny is when it was the day after the drag show, and they're just dancing around all the glitter, and they're jumping around, and there's feathers.
Yeah.
And, that was really fun.
Yeah, and some of them come in and they're totally like, especially now, like that they've been through a pandemic, they don't really know how to socialize anymore, and they don't want to look at other kids or be too close to anybody or have to talk, and then you got to help them come out of their shell and like overcome stage fright and just help them know that it's like, okay, everything's going to be all right. It's not the end of the world. How do you deal with those things? I still deal with stage fright now, you know, like I was totally nervous today. So, yeah, just kind of,
I've never worked with anyone that wasn't nervous to perform.
yeah. Some people just don't get that way, and it's, you know, I envy them because I'm like, that would be great if I didn't have this crippling anxiety before I had to play all the time. But I don't know, you just help them like manage it, deal with it, you know.
Thank you, Erin Fox. Where can we find you online?
Probably the easiest way to find me is erinfox.online, and that'll link you to all the socials and whatnot.
All right. I'm on Instagram as Nikki Nailbaum Music.
And I'm on Instagram and Facebook as House of Robot, or you can visit houseofrobot.com.
Thank you for listening to Take 3. Thank you, WTSR Radio and the College of New Jersey.